Matthew, talk to me, man. Me and you worked together for about 3 months or so, and you've got some really good results from my coaching. First thing I'd like to ask you is, could you just say what your situation was like before we started working together? So in terms of your results with women and also your emotional state as well.
Sure. Yeah, so before you and I started working together, I was actually in a relationship for about 2 years. And the relationship ended up ending about I would say maybe about 6 weeks before I met you, maybe 6 weeks to 2 months before I met you. And even though it was a breakup that I knew was going to be happening, and it was a good thing that it had happened, it had hit my confidence level in a way that I'd never really expected. I always kind of knew in terms of confidence I could work on myself, but I felt like when I got out of that relationship, my confidence was at an all-time low. Here I was as somebody who was in this relationship, and now all of a sudden I am not, and I did not know what to do. I did not know what's the first thing to do when approaching girls, what to say, how to act. It's almost like I'd forgotten everything. And so I was in a state where I didn't know how things were going to work out, but also my confidence, like I say, was at an all-time low. And so I found your podcast, and I really resonated with some of the things you were saying. Since then, I just told myself, I'm like, this is the guy. And I reached out to you, and then we worked together for 3 months, and it's been awesome.
Firstly, I really appreciate what you just said about this is the guy. Like, that makes me feel quite good about myself. Thanks. And it's actually really nice to know that I had that kind of effect as well, was able to resonate with you with the work that I do. But out of curiosity, do you have, or did you have, should I say, any fears about investing in me back at the start?
No, not in you. I think the situation was during this time, it was right when quarantine was starting. So it was like I knew this was the guy, but how much were we going to be able to do in a situation where everything's locked down? I guess it just showed that it was even better, because even with lockdown, I still got really good results. So if anything, that's probably more of a testament that you were the right guy. Because that was the thing. It was more situational. I don't think it was anything about as a coach, actually. You just knew the way you were saying certain things, the way you, just the way you answered. I was like, okay, like sometimes with this kind of stuff, it's really easy to get into the pickup, routine. And I needed something a little bit more grounding. And so it couldn't be super superficial stuff. Like I needed some like inner work too at the same time. I knew that. And so when I heard your stuff, it really resonated, and it made me reach out to you, really.
Well, thanks, man. You know what? I think most guys in this scene need inner work, because if you're in a position where you're basically saying, my relationship with women is absolutely terrible and I need help, there's some sort of emotional reason as to why that's the case. There's some sort of damage that's actually gone on. And a mistake I think that many or most of the coaches in this space make is that they focus purely on the external. So it's like, what are you going to say in this situation? What are you going to say in that situation? But then they miss so much. And I also find that while the stuff that they teach really does work, if you know the right stuff to say, then it will improve your results. Over time, it's not sustainable, because you'll be with a girl and it becomes harder and harder and harder to keep up this pickup persona. And then after a while, it just kind of cracks. And then when that happens, she sees through you. And when that happens, she loses interest. When that happens, you just kind of fall to pieces. And that happened to me many times in the past as well. And that is actually the reason why we were able to do a lot of work, even without you being able to go out, because we're kind of addressing the root cause, rather than just focusing on, okay, stand here, puff your chest out, position yourself like this.
And if I could say something, when it came to my relationship, I actually stayed in the relationship longer than I should have. And I realized that when the relationship ended, when it got really toxic, and I remember thinking to myself, and I was like, I should have walked away a lot sooner. Why didn't I? And I realized, well, it wasn't because of the things I was saying, and it wasn't like the techniques. It was because there was some inner work. And I knew that out of everything I knew that was for sure. I knew I needed to walk away sooner, but I didn't. So I knew there was some underlying stuff that I really needed to work on. That's why it really resonated with you, because I do know a few people that are in the dating coach niche, and it's all about, breaking rapport, making eye contact, vocal tonality. But that wasn't enough. I mean, I'd done that as well, and here I was. I couldn't walk away out of a relationship that was clearly toxic. So that's what really kind of highlighted your coaching and really made me work with you.
You say you couldn't walk away from a relationship that was toxic, and it's like, I know exactly what you mean, because I've been in those situations as well. And with me, it was always a case that I didn't feel like I was good enough without that person. I needed that person because I didn't have enough worth on my own. And this is almost like I'm alone at sea and I'm potentially drowning. This person is like a life jacket. If I get rid of this life jacket, I'm screwed. Absolutely screwed. So I hear you, man. I hear you. So what results did you see then with regards to your specific successes with women, but also just in you and how you felt about yourself? What results did you get from being coached by me?
So in terms of actual tangible results, now keep in mind, everybody that's listening, this is straight hardcore lockdown. I still met with quite a few women. It's a weird situation because it's like, for me and you, it was me working on the inner portion, exactly what you said, the confidence, being able to be alone, things like that. But also we worked a lot on social media, on dating apps, and the results were actually really good. And for those that are listening, I'm actually I'm actually an Indian person. And so there's kind of a stigma that, so looks have a lot to do with it. And maybe it does, but I found that my results were really good. I got quite a few numbers. I ended up meeting a few women. And the part about it is that it wasn't like, it was pretty effortless in a way. It was almost like if I saw them, cool. If I didn't, that's fine too. And something about that kind of made it more effortless and allowed me to meet women a lot easier. There's not that neediness element. There wasn't a validation element of it. So I guess it was like the results got even better. Like I was at a better place than I was even before my relationship in terms of confidence, but the results came more effortlessly. I literally spent less time, in terms of messaging back and forth, and like meeting up was very quick. It was really easy. These were great, high quality women. So it was pretty easy actually. It was kind of effortless in a way.
Wow. Okay. That is honestly one of the nicest things anyone's ever said about my coaching. So you found it effortless to meet women as a result of being coached by me. Well, thank you. Cheers. Thank you. All right. So what was it about me and my coaching that was so effective in your eyes? What did I do for you that some of the other coaches who you're aware of but didn't choose to be coached by didn't do?
I think in the beginning, like with the other coaches I know, it's a lot about, like I say, those techniques. And those things are important. I'm not saying those things aren't important. They are. But for me, it wasn't going to be enough of an investment to do that, just to learn technique. There was clearly some underlying stuff going on. I realized out of that relationship, I was a little bit messed up. And there was some things that were boiling underneath that I needed to kind of let out. And also, like I say, it wasn't about technique. I knew there was a confidence hit. My confidence was hit. And so I needed someone that could kind of merge both worlds. The technique, but also the inner work at the same time. Both are really important. But like I say, that's what made me resonate with you, because it wasn't just here's what to say. It's just here's how to feel, and why don't you feel this way, and let's go in and find out why not, because your catch. And for me, that was a very tough thing to grasp at the time. And so, when you kind of fix that, everything kind of becomes an extension. And it's almost like the reason why I guess it's more effortless is because when you're at that stage, it's almost like technique is almost irrelevant because you kind of act that way naturally. If you do, you do.
Exactly.
You just kind of respond in this confident manner, which is really easy for people to see.
This is something that is very, very, very true. So many coaches, it's like they've broken down what a confident person looks like into its like constituent parts. So it's stand like this, speak like this, pause between your thoughts like this, talk about these sorts of topics, move your body like this, touch and out, etc. And all that stuff works 1,000%. But as I've said before, if you're consciously managing all of that stuff, it's too much. It's literally like you've got your laptop and you've got 1 trillion tabs open in Google Chrome, and then you just overload the RAM in your laptop because your laptop's just got too much stuff to do, because you can't focus on that many things at once. But if you basically focus on being confident, then you'll naturally do all of the things that you were consciously trying to do anyway. So you don't need to necessarily consciously do this, and this. You just focus on feeling great about yourself, and then as a result, you will naturally do that sort of stuff.
It's pretty interesting. It's like, it's like, what do I do now? I'm just like, just be a cool guy. Just be yourself. It's cool. It's it's so natural. And yeah, you're right. It's like, think about this, break rapport, do this, push pull, do this, and like, plant the seed and neg and all this stuff. It's like, if you just fix a few things, it sounds a little bit silly. Now, like you say, it's there, but that's again what kind of makes it effortless. Do you want to remember 50 different things, or do you just want to just be it because you already are?
So when we started coaching, you had a date coming up, or there was some girl you were going to see in some capacity. Well, it obviously wasn't a date. I guess she was coming around to your place, or you were going around to hers. You were nervous as all hell. You couldn't have been any more nervous. And I remember speaking to you, giving you some tips. Then I'm actually looking at the message that you sent me now. You sent me a message Sunday, 22nd of March, and it read, "Fucked her 4 times, bro. Made her come countless times."
Yeah, it's funny, right? It was, yeah, yep, that's right. I did send that. What happened there? Okay, so what happened? Okay, so this was pretty interesting because, again, for people listening, this was during lockdown. And so it's not like, hey, let's go grab a drink. It was like, hey, if you want to meet up, it's either your place or mine. And so I actually went to hers. And she was like, oh, I was planning on coming to yours. I'm like, no, we're going to yours. Went there, was a cool guy, just was myself. And yeah, within, like 20 minutes, we were having sex on her bed.
You also wrote she called you an amazing lover.
And yeah, part of it was just me letting go and doing whatever I liked. And I really didn't care, And before, you'd kind of walk on eggshells a little bit. And now, look, for everyone listening, there's obviously a balance, right? If a girl says no, obviously no, don't do that. But she was vibing with the fact that I was so into it. And a lot of that was kind of working with you, which was just let go, just be yourself. You're already there. And so I just did whatever I wanted. And she loved it. And that was why, before, I would have been like, oh, is this right? Is that? I would have been in my head. She would have felt that. She would have said, well, okay, this is not, he's clearly second guessing himself. He's not as confident. I didn't care. And she saw that, and yeah, she said I was an amazing lover because of that.
Yeah, the funny thing is, that's actually what women tend to want in bed. They just want you, from what I've seen anyway. They want you to be in the moment doing whatever you personally feel is right. They want to get swept up in your personal energy and your brand of sexual excitement. But anyway, thank you for your time. Thank you. This is really appreciated. And finally, before we go, do you have anything to say if there's some guy who's listening who's maybe on the fence or so, or unsure about whether or not to sign up with me? Just what would you say to that guy?
I mean, I would just say, look, you owe it to yourself. There's no reason to try to figure this out. Have somebody guide you. Just mentor you first and foremost. And the best thing is find a mentor that is all encompassing, right? It's not about just what to say. It needs to be deeper than that. If you can fix it at a deeper level, everything falls into place. And there is something unique and important about somebody who looks at it from an outside perspective, that has the knowledge, that can actually coach to guide individuals and to show you your potential blind spots and to course correct them and fix them really fast. Your main job really should just be on executing. And so, yeah, I would say anyone that's really focusing on getting this problem fixed once and for all, not really thinking about this long term, focusing on other things, should definitely be working with Kieran for sure.
Well, thank you, man. I really appreciate that. So thank you once again for your time. Thank you. And thank you to the person who's listening.